Somebody out there in this world is listening to this podcast and is going, what if I hate my job? You want me to work harder in a job that I am miserable in? I get that I gotta put in the work. I get that nursing isn't an easy thing to do. We've gotta embrace work. In fact, I love to be productive. But what if I hate my job? It sucks the life out of me. Are you saying that I need to double down on this? This is the Nice Veins Bro podcast, the #1 podcast for nurses who want to live that next level life. I am Nene Pablo, host of this podcast, registered nurse, and creator of Nice Veins Bro. I used to work nights, and one particular night, I kind of miss it actually, working nights, but as I am just sitting down after assessing my patients, okay, they're just snoozing off, I don't got any meds, I got my coffee, my music and my little speaker that I brought for work is playing some soft music. I am literally about to start typing my assessment. And I hear from the other side of the unit, nobody likes to work with you because you're lazy. I hate working with you. And I was like, oh my goodness. 2 coworkers that were at it. They later resolved it, but in the moment, I mean, they were taught a sure way to become an enemy of the unit. Everybody knows this, is to be the lazy one. Don't be the lazy one, okay? We are back at it again. 5 parts to a series. This is the second one that I'm making, and it's a series on what makes real nurses. The 5 things that I think really help distinguish the nurses that are real nurses, the nurses that really embody what it means to be a nurse, and the rest of the 4 million people out there that say they're nurses. And those 5 things are respect the profession, put in the work, stay humble, practice what you preach, love life and people. And I'm making an episode on each one of those. And today's episode is on putting in the work. This is based on my opinion, of course, because if you don't like it, that's fine. You can send me an email. But today's episode is putting in the work. It's time to fall in love with work, baby. Okay, nurses ought to love work. And I think that nurses should embrace work. If you have a negative view on work, it helps nobody. Work is good. Smart work is good, not stupid work. Smart work is good. I think that every nurse should have a healthy view of work. If you don't, it's gonna be a problem for you. It's gonna be a problem for your workmates, and it's gonna be a problem for your patients. I'm not trying to encourage a life of overwork, because we know as nurses, most hospitals and organizations that employ us, they actually overwork us. You have people out there who say, you only work 3 days a week. Oh, it's an easy schedule. Come, vente mamita, vamos shadow with me, okay? You're not gonna last 2 minutes. I know you're not, but no. We put in the work. Nurses put in the work. It's time we embrace it. Real nurses put in the work. Don't go anywhere. You're gonna enjoy it. Let go. No. Hola mi gente, everybody has a crazy nursing story to tell. If you want to share yours with the world, send it to me. I'll feature it here on the podcast and you can get my take on it. You can also ask me questions, love questions. Remember, HIPAA rules do apply when you're telling your story, of course, and I will make sure you remain anonymous. I don't know what you're waiting for. Send me a message, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. That's again, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. Looking forward to it. Real nurses put in the work. You cannot afford to be a mediocre nurse. Nursing is not for people. It's not for people who have no desire to grow, no desire to learn, to improve, to actually achieve something of value. If you have no desire to achieve something meaningful in life, you should not be a nurse. If you have no desire to get up in the morning and do something, you should not be a nurse, okay? Lazy nurses are crappy nurses. Honestly, nothing in healthcare is for those kinds of people. Nothing in healthcare. Because let's say you have a business. You are now an entrepreneur. You're wanting to create the best lipstick, and you have all the great ingredients, and you know how to make the best lipstick, and you're making it out of your garage. And here in this beautiful garage, you are going to make it the factory in which you create the best lipstick for the rest of the world, okay? If you begin to be lazy in that setting, if you are lazy with your work as a lipstick manufacturer, how is your customer base? Let's say you got a loyal fan base of maybe 1,000 customers. How are they going to suffer if you begin to get lazy? They're going to suffer by not getting the world's best lipstick. Big deal. A health professional there is no way that a health professional has that luxury to suck at their job. You have lives in your hands, not lipstick. So that's why I say no one in healthcare should be lazy. Sure, we have our days. That's something separate. I'm talking about a lifestyle of laziness. I'm talking about a lifestyle that is marked by laziness, by a hatred and loathing of work, and you just don't want to get things done that are meaningful. It is the worst. Being mediocre in this environment, in healthcare, in nursing, is evil. And if you think I'm being exaggerated, I'll look up the freaking definitions. Let me get my phone because my computer's not working. Definition of lazy: not willing to work or slow moving, sluggish, conducive to inactivity or indolence. You think that's going to make a great nurse? Let me see here. Let's look up mediocrity. Definition of mediocre. I want you to imagine you have a loved one in the hospital and you have a mediocre nurse, okay? Here's the definition. Undistinguished quality, average, of middle quality, of but a moderate or low degree of excellence, indifferent. That's a great one. Indifferent, not medium quality. I'm sorry. I do not want my mother to have medium quality today. I would like to hire a exceptional nurse, not mediocre. We don't want to do that. If you're mediocre, if you are lazy, you're going to start to cut corners. Your care is going to become garbage, and you're going to put your patients at risk. You don't want to scan your meds. You don't want to do an accurate assessment. You don't want to double check if they actually do have pain because you're too lazy to get up from your charting desk. What? We got to a point where we're so lazy to go and answer call lights. Now listen to me. I understand that it can get annoying to answer call lights, but we've gotten sometimes so lazy that even if the patient's not even that crazy about doing the call light thing, we still hide the call light. I mean, if you're hiding the call light and your patient is not that, give me a break. Stop being lazy. Stop being lazy. Nursing was never made to be easy. It was never meant to be a walk in the park. Surprising. It was always meant for people to put in the work. It was always meant for people. And you know why I know this? Because there's this special thing called best practice. Evidence-based practice. How on God's green earth are we going to get to best if we're lazy? How are we going to get to best practice if it's a bunch of mediocre people? I'm sorry, but that's kind of contradictory. Mediocre and best are not the same thing, people. Real nurses should hunger for progress. They should hunger for improvement. They should hunger for advancing. What's another good word here? Development. They want to develop a healthy lifestyle for their patient. They want a breakthrough. They want something to get better, okay? Better, best. That requires work. And this applies for all of healthcare, which is why I said nobody in healthcare should be lazy. We should kill it. Murder laziness in your life. Now, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm saying that nurses are lazy. I'm if el que le pique, que se rasque. I mean, if it bothers you, maybe it's you, okay? Because I'm talking to a specific person here. I'm not talking about, all the nurses. Nurses work very hard. They are hard workers. I'm talking about the people who have slacked. Don't be offended unless I'm talking about you. Then you have my formal invitation to be offended, okay? Because what's offensive is the way you carry out your nursing practice. If you're going to do anything in life, you have to be intentional. And intentionality requires hard work, okay? Because it requires discipline. And discipline, as you know, is not something that comes easy to us. So do things in your life, do things at work that will improve your practice, that it will improve your care. Do things that will help you grow so that learning, for example, not to get the clout and the title. We talked about that the other day. But in order for our patients to have the best quality of care, in order for our patients, in order for our people, the people that we work for, in order for our organization, in order for our fellow nurses to all improve, we've got to put our best so that we are improving the industry as a whole, but not even thinking that large, thinking about your own life and your personal relationship with that patient. You want to be able to offer the best. In fact, getting enough rest, that's kind of like an oxymoron, but if you're hearing what I'm saying do things intentionally so that your practice is better. So putting in the work may mean getting intentional rest. Why? Because intentional rest causes you to be a better nurse. I was about to say a better patient. Hopefully you're not a patient. But it helps you to be a better nurse. The point is, do things. And not only do things, but remove things. There are all sorts of different things we can do to help us in our practice, to help nursing in general. Remove things that stunt the growth. What's that going to look like for you? What does it mean to remove things from your life that actually stunt your growth? We cannot afford to be mediocre nurses. Real nurses put in the work to be the best. That is just the way it is. You've got to be willing to work hard. Working is a blessing, bro. I always say bro. Now you know why the brand is Nice Veins, bro. God created work. It is good for us. It's a blessing. The Lord Jesus Christ created work, okay? Enjoy it. So move forward and get better at what you do. Now, somebody out there in this world is listening to this podcast and is going, what if I hate my job? You want me to work harder in a job that I am miserable in? I get that I got to put in the work. I get that nursing isn't an easy thing to do. We've got to embrace work. In fact, I love to be productive. But what if I hate my job? It sucks the life out of me. Are you saying that I need to double down on this and that I just need to work harder because I better suck it up? Are you saying that I just need to deal with it? And the answer is no. That is not what I'm saying. I fully understand what it means to be in a nursing job that you absolutely hate because I was there. I was in a unit that I did not like. I enjoyed some of the people, but I did not enjoy full-time bedside ICU. I remember living during this period of where I was struggling with the idea of, do I just double down and I just force myself to go to work and be part of the unit board, whatever, and learn how to be charged and learn how to take certain different kinds of patients and all this stuff. And do I have to grow in a place where I freaking hate it and just deal with it because this is the degree that I chose to study? I remember struggling with those feelings. So trust me when I tell you, I know where that question is coming from, and my heart goes out to you because it is real. It is real to feel like you are trapped in this place and that everyone, or you kind of almost feel guilty for not growing where you are. It's not that I'm lazy. It's not that, because I love work, full stop. I love work. I love creating. I love doing things. Okay. But where I was at, I hated my job. Not where I am now. I enjoy where I'm now. I'm saying in the past, I actually really did not like where I was. And if I could go back, and if I could, invite myself out for a cup of coffee, I would say this. I would say, you have options. Praise God that you have options. You literally have the most versatile healthcare job ever. I want you to imagine someone who's gone and become a school teacher, or someone who's gone into to be a lawyer. These people pick degrees. It's very specific sometimes, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to pivot and go to a different, because they're going to have to start all over again. You do not have that problem. There's so many people, and I was one of them. Trust me, I was one of them, and sometimes I still struggle with it, to think like I am stuck in my job and there's no other place where I can serve and be a nurse. It is such a wide, so many options that you can do after you've gotten a nursing degree, where you can specialize in literally anything that you can imagine. This is literally the reason why some of us were forced into nursing, is because of how versatile it was. And you're going to sit there and tell me that you're stuck? Why do you think all the ethnic people, the Filipinos, are telling their kids to? It's not just Filipinos; it's a lot of others. But they force, which it's not okay to force someone to do something. But what I'm saying is that they're right in the sense that you can do so much after you get this degree. Don't limit yourself. And as much as people, the amount of influencers on Instagram and all these people that I know that are preaching this, but people still don't get it. I mean, it's amazing. And the reason why is because nursing schools only teach you how to become a nurse at a hospital. And that's a pet peeve and another conversation. It's the amount of pressure that's put on us because we feel like we need to do a certain thing or we're going to disappoint someone. I remember feeling like, I was going to disappoint a bunch of people because I chose not to do CRNA. I'm getting off track. But the point is that if you don't enjoy your specialty, change it. If you don't enjoy your crazy work hours, find a more routine job that the hours are more predictable. If you don't enjoy the hospital, okay, the hospital there's a special kind of people that enjoy the hospital. You got to be a special person to literally enjoy the hospital. And if you do not enjoy the hospital, leave it. Do you know how many areas of nursing are outside or outpatient jobs that sometimes actually pay more than being in the hospital? I mean, do the research. That's what I mean by putting in the work. Do the research to find an area that fulfills you. When I say put in the work, what I'm saying is put in the work to find the area of nursing that you thoroughly find fulfillment in, that you enjoy. Okay, not every day of every job out there is going to be something that you enjoy or you have a passion for. But there ought to be something where your skills, listen to me, your skills, the things that you are good at, and the profession that you pick, they align. Okay, there's a specialty out there. I'm telling you, there is. Don't lose hope in that. It's true. You will find a place. You got to determine the reason why you shy away from growth. If you're at a hospital and you don't feel like you want to get a new, certification of some certain thing because, whatnot, and they're putting pressure on you to get your certification for your specific unit and all this crap. Okay. If you feel like there is no desire, zero, like you are almost repulsed by the thought of it, you've got to ask yourself why. Why am I feeling this way? Is it because it's a character thing? Is it because I'm actually lazy? You know? Or is it because this area of nursing is highly unsatisfying? It's very, very frustrating to actually even come to work because I don't like what I do. You've got to determine that. And I don't care if they pay you less. I don't care if you will be happier. Not everything is about money. And sometimes when you actually make the change because you enjoy the new job more, or the new specialty more, or the new area of nursing that you choose more, you actually end up being the best at that area, and you get paid way more than if you had miserably stuck in an area that you thought was giving you a lot of money, quote unquote. Okay? If you're truly lazy, if that's really, really the problem, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're struggling with laziness, like you simply just hate work in general, anything that you try, you hate. And you just want to be lounging around doing literally nothing, and you find joy in that. There is some kind of upbringing. Maybe the way you were brought up was to view work as a negative thing. Maybe there was always associated work. It was with negative emotions or something like that. Maybe, and I say this seriously, but maybe going to therapy to understand why those feelings were first introduced into your life. And when you can pinpoint where the basis of those feelings are, then you can attack it much better. But if that's what I would say to someone who is just down, like outright lazy, like they don't have any desire to work in anything. But if your desire is simply to not work because it's not fulfilling, and you actually are a disciplined person because you enjoy actually creating something, do something stupidly out of the ordinary and try it. That's what I would encourage you to do if you hate your job and you feel like you're not able to put in the work because you hate it. Okay, I would say literally think about this right now. Think about your job. Do you have a desire to learn and grow in that job, or do you freaking hate it? Sit down, and you could do a Google search. I did a Google search earlier. Well, it's DuckDuckGo because I don't like anyone tracking me. A nurse attorney, forensic nursing. You can be a nurse writer, aesthetic nurse. That's getting popular. A PIC nurse, like an IV services nurse who just come in and put the PIC and they leave. I freaking love those guys. They look like they love their job. And I talked to someone a while ago, months ago, who was doing this at our hospital, and he said he freaking loved his job. The hours were kind of whack, but he said he loved it, and he was getting paid really well for it. Hey, you can be a health and wellness coach if you're into that. You can, and get certification for it too, and open up your own practice. You can be a fertility nurse. You can be an ophthalmic nurse. What the heck is an ophthalmic nurse? Did you know that you could do that? I didn't know that. You can be a nurse midwife. I know someone. One of my professors is a nurse midwife, and she loves what she does. I mean, she was created by God to do that. When I tell you, oh my gosh. Did you know that there was a domestic violence nurse? That's an actual title, and you can get certifications for that. Holistic nurse. There's a whole national association on holistic nurses, and they're legit. There's infusion nurses. I mean, the sky is the literal limit. You can be a nurse entrepreneur. Hello, somebody. That's me. When you find the area that you enjoy, when you find the area that you love, it doesn't guarantee that you are going to have a walk in the park, because like I said at the beginning, nursing was never meant, healthcare was never meant for people who just want to have it easy every single day. But when you find the area where you are most fulfilled, the area that you were created for, the areas that God has given you a certain set of gifts. And when you align your certain set of gifts with the area of nursing that you find most fulfillment in, you will find so much freedom. You will work, you will rise above the level you never even thought you could rise above from. That was long and weird. But the point is, if you don't enjoy what you do, how on earth can you expect to put in the work and do your best? Whatever you do, go all in. That is what I'm saying. That is the point that I'm trying to get across. Find work that fulfills you, because work is that important. And you're going to be spending your days working. So might as well enjoy it, because nurses put in work. I understand 100% that it might be overwhelming or frustrating even to hear someone say, just put in the work. But just put in the work doesn't necessarily mean you've got to be busy all the time, or you've got to be completing a certain amount of tasks, because, putting in the work doesn't just mean tasks or busyness or check boxes. Moving from place to place and never having rest. Okay, I'm not trying to encourage a life of overwork. When you hear someone saying, just put in the work, go the extra mile, all this stuff, it can be frustrating. But I want to make it very clear that what I am trying to say is putting the work is a matter of productivity. And productivity doesn't always have to do with how much you do. It's how you do it. It's not just putting in the work, but making sure that the work is smart work. Not just hard work, but smart work. It's work with a purpose. It's work that is well thought out. It's work that has a lot of planning involved, and the execution actually allows us to have more time than less time because we did it right the first time. So it's not just a matter of, I'm going to go and get involved and get all the certifications in my current position just because it looks good and just because, they told me to. No, I'm actually going to go because I have thought it out, and I know that this new certification, this new training that I voluntarily go to, I know that this kind of content, this kind of stuff is going to help me in my future. Don't just sweat and get stressed out about running around in circles, doing stuff and getting certifications. Don't just go back to school because you don't want to disappoint your parents that you just have a bachelor's. No, go back to school because whatever that education is going to give you is going to be where you want to end up. Smart work versus just simply hard work. Sometimes we do need to go through a period or a season of our life that is uncomfortable, it's painful, it's something, you could even describe it as something that you absolutely hate. But it's necessary in order for us to grow and get better, because we know in, maybe 2 years or in a certain amount of time, I'm actually going to be moving to a different position. And the knowledge that I gain here, as terrible as it is, will help me for that next season of my life. What am I talking about? I'm talking about if you're at a terrible, terrible job, or you're at a level 1 trauma center and you freaking hate it, but you know that being there as opposed to a smaller hospital is going to give you the knowledge that you need in order to go back to school to become, for example, CRNA, NP, or whatever it is that you see in your horizon. And that end goal is really what you want for your life. Okay, don't torture yourself, obviously, and staying there just for the wrong motives. But if you have a right motivation to go through pain, that's the reason why we put in the work when we went through nursing school, right? The whole idea was, I may not be enjoying this now. I may not have necessarily a whole bunch of fulfillment now, but the idea that this is going to build me into a better person for the future. Be smart about the work that you involve yourself in, and make sure that it's work that is sacred. Make sure that it's work that fulfills you. And if it doesn't fulfill you, make sure that it's because you are very, very clear that I'm going through the fire because I'm waiting for a return on that investment. Hey, I just want to thank you for listening. It means the world to me, especially because at the time of this recording, I'm still only a couple months from starting this whole thing. So if you're interested in helping me build this brand even more, Please share this podcast on your social media and grab some merch from the website at niceveinsbro.com. Got some great stuff there for sale. Send me a DM on Instagram and share some encouragement, some love, and some hate. I will welcome that too. But don't be shy. Talk to you soon. Hey, I want to remind you that this is a series. It's a series on what makes real nurses out of the 4 million nurses that are out there in the nation. We shouldn't be trusting all of them, right? Not all of them are going to be great. Not all of them are perfect. But what makes a great nurse? And so I came up with 5 things based on my opinion. And those 5 things are values and characteristics that I think the best nurses, the most trustworthy nurses have. And those 5 things are: respect the profession, put in the work, stay humble, practice what you preach, love life and people. This episode specifically was on put in the work. Real nurses put in the work. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, I hope that you did. It's my goal to help. I hope I don't run over anybody or discourage anybody. The goal is really to help us take personal responsibility and rise above to live our very, very best possible life. If you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, please share it with somebody that could find it useful as well. Share it on your social media and let me know what you think. I love feedback. I love to hear from you guys. So that would be amazing. I want to end this podcast with a question that goes along with the series, and that is, what kind of nurse do you want to be? And more importantly, what kind of person do you want to be? Thank you so much for joining me and for listening and supporting this brand and podcast. Que Dios me lo bendiga. When I would listen to podcasts before I became a podcaster myself, I didn't realize how much leaving a 5-star review helped. And so now on this side, I just want you to know that it really does mean a whole lot when people review and share the content. So if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody and leave a 5-star review on whichever platform you use, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And if you're interested, you can also find us on social media at niceveinsbro, or shop online at niceveinsbro.com. My personal stuff you can find under Nene Pablo, which is spelled NENEPABLO. I spend most of my time on YouTube making vlogs and videos and on Instagram. So I would love to connect with you. And remember, be a positive force and influence within healthcare and society. It's all about God, wellness, and purpose here. Thank you for listening.